It's time for Free Agent Friday. Today we're talking about Brock Besser and why Brock could end up wearing a Utah Mammoth jersey.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Mammoth. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined as always by my estimable colleague, Robyn Leaño, a longtime team analyst and hashtag Donor Nation member now, even sporting the correct beverage for the Donor Nation. We want to welcome Robyn. Before we get to talking about Free Agent Friday, because we're going to talk about Free Agent Friday, Brock Besser, and also Rick Bowness coaching in Utah. We're going to talk about that too, because that's a thing. But Robyn, you have had a little foray into the social media world here, and I want to welcome a bunch of the Donor Nation ladies who are jumping on board here with the show.
Absolutely. No, well, welcome on. Hey, you know what? We're out here, kind of just really looking for all the fans out there. The donors, you guys are awesome. I feel like you guys have shown you guys are loyal like crazy just on social media alone. I love you guys.
It's, you know what, and it's fun. And this is the thing I really love this about sports is how people find their own communities within sports. I mean, Robyn, obviously you know this. I'm preaching to the choir. I get it. But I think a lot of people out there are going to find that you meet lifelong friends. You end up sitting around people if you have season tickets or a partial or whatever. People you meet every, Saturday night who want to watch a Mammoth game at the same particular bar or restaurant or whatever. Robyn, there was one case, I don't know if you know this or not. Roadrunners year one, there was a couple who met because they had season tickets one row behind each other. And I think it was at the end of year two, they got married.
Wow.
They met because they happened to sit in the same section. So the Roadrunners, the AHL franchise for Utah, when I was there, the first 2 years of the franchise, I remember that they met in year one. And then in year two, they got married. And they said we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for the fact that we had Roadrunners season tickets. So you want to talk about community. It's a pretty cool thing.
I absolutely love that. But I also want to give a shout out to the donors for making this drink specifically, the drink of the group, the official drink of the group. It's I had to try it. I'm like, you know what? I gotta know what all this hype's about. And hey, y'all were right.
I think and we already do have our coffee sorted out on this show, so I don't need to worry about that. But yeah, Robyn, maybe there's a little room for Team RB there to make their way onto the Locked On Mammoth scene as well. We'll have to thwart that one to the folks upstairs. Hey, we'll chase that one down. All right, Robyn, this is actually your idea. Credit where credit's due. Robyn Leaño comes to me and says, Tom, we need to start doing Free Agent Fridays here. We're getting in towards the draft, towards free agency. We're also into the conference finals, and we might be able to talk about that a little bit later on, but I'm not too concerned about getting to that because what we want to look at here and prepare you for it, Mammoth fans, is the fact that, look, the Utah Mammoth are going to be players when free agency opens in July. Robyn, I don't think anybody expects the Mammoth to sit on the sidelines unless the deals don't make sense. And that's why we have the faith in general manager Bill Armstrong to make the right and the smart moves. But I mean, Robyn, is it going too far to say it would be shocking if there were no big names coming to Utah?
It would be shocking if no big names came because, I mean, we talked about it going into last season where Bill Armstrong was pretty much open on saying that Ryan Smith was, pocketbook's open, spend what you need to spend to be able to get to build a winning hockey team. And of course, Bill didn't do it right away. He didn't go absolutely crazy in year one because Bill Armstrong is focusing on keeping to the timeline. Now that they're going into this second year, we already know where this team's at. What we're going to see is Utah really trying to stretch out for a little bit to a more bigger name. I know I know a lot of you guys have already voiced your opinion on Mitch Marner and have voiced why it won't work. I mean, we said why it could work, but yeah, we understand a lot of the reasons against signing a guy like Mitch Marner. But
And you're all crazy.
but there are a lot of other free agents out there who could either be a better fit or a worse fit, or however you want to do it. And I think it's really, really nice to be able to start all this by talking about Brock Besser.
So, Robyn, I know this name has been high on your list. So I'm going to let you lead on this one. Talk to us about why, if I'm just tuning into Locked On Mammoth, Robyn, you explain to me why Brock Besser is such a good fit for this Mammoth organization and why this is the player you want to open the checkbook for.
Well, I mean, it goes into a lot of different things, and I mean, it's going to sound kind of interesting in a way of what I put it this, but I mean, Besser is so first and foremost, Besser fits the size that Bill Armstrong gets in a player, right? Besser, I think, is 6'1", right? So he's 6'1", is over 200 pounds. He's got the size. He's got what he's looking for, and he fits the more quote physical kind of aspect of a player, but without sacrificing skill. Brock Besser is still a very highly skilled player. He's right there in his prime. He's around just 28 years old, looking at his birthday, literally only born 2 days before me. Just to me, it makes me have an existential crisis, but that's for a whole other story. But for Tom, the other major thing that I want to do, just as an overarching thing, is this is a huge difference from the overlook at what Mitch Marner would be. Mitch Marner would be a player who's commanding $12-13 million, right? Brock Besser's last contract had an average annual value of about just under $7 million. And I don't think he's going to command a giant leap of increase. So I think there certainly is a better value aspect on bringing in a guy like Brock Besser without having to sacrifice a crazy much of your cap hit.
So Besser, 6'1", 207, 28 years old. So I like the age. 6.65 was the cap hit for Besser, and it was a 3-year deal. Actually didn't have the most productive season out of the last 3. It was the lowest point total for Besser in 75 games, 25 and 25 for 50 points. Had 40 goals 2 years ago. But the question you have to ask yourself about Brock Besser, going all the way back to 18-19, every season has been right on about 50 points. So 56, 45, 49, 46, 55, and now 50. But that 73-point season and the 40-goal season, that's the enticing one. That was 2 years ago, Brock Besser. Now we wonder, which player would you be getting in free agency? And so, Robyn, I decided to dip in a little bit here and just kind of look at NHL Edge. Besser's strength, at least as far as compared to the rest of the league, top shot speed is in the 96th percentile. Skating, both speed burst and top skating speed, is low. It's below 50%. So that is not Besser's game. But being a good shooter and having a high shooting percentage, 83rd percentile for Besser's 17.2%, which is pretty cool. You love to see that. That means a smart shot selector. I like that when you look at the advanced stats. And the other thing, it's interesting too, the majority of Besser's shots were not over 80 miles an hour. So this is not a player who winds up and cranks it a lot. This is a player who's thoughtful about their selection, gets a lot of chances from directly in front of the goal and right up the middle of the slot between the hash marks. I love that kind of player, Robyn, because that to me says someone who's willing to put themselves in a high danger area and battle to try to find a way to score some goals.
And that's kind of like the original MO of a power forward, right? They're the ones that are kind of getting right up there to those high danger areas. And I think that's kind of what, like, and what's interesting too is he's not out throwing his body everywhere, but he's using his size to his advantage. That's what he's out doing.
And so Besser, we're going to talk more about this coming up, free agent here with the Vancouver Canucks. I want to dive a little deeper into some of the numbers here. Also, Rick Bowness coaching in Utah. Plus, we've got an update. One of the Utah Mammoth prospects has won the Western Hockey League title and is headed to the Memorial Cup. We'll explain what that means if you don't know, and we'll tell you who it is here in just a little bit. Stick around. And today's show is brought to you in part by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out and online shopping and entertainment, quite frankly, it is easy to lose track. So that's where Monarch Money comes in, because it's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, and you're spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money, and now you can start building wealth. And that was me with Monarch. And I love the all-in-one convenience of, instead of juggling the multiple apps, this is my biggest pet peeve, because I have an app for everything. I don't need an app for everything. So I like having just Monarch Money to be my one place that I check my finances, track my spending, plan my long-term goals. I can do all that in one place, and it's so much easier than having to log into, a bunch of different apps to check those things out. So I appreciate that. I know you will too. It makes it a lot easier to take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. All right, Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño back here with you, Locked On Mammoth. If you're still here, you like what you hear, hey, subscribe. We're going to have a lot more content like this leading up to the drafted free agency, talking about who the Utah Mammoth should or should not go after. We'll give you our reasons for and against. And we also bring you breaking news. We're following along with the World Championships going on right now. We'll have a little bit of news about that. I mentioned the World Juniors, or not, pardon me, not World Juniors, rather. Oh my
Memorial
goodness,
Cup.
Robyn. Memorial Cup. Thank you. I'm trying to track so many things. My eyes almost rolled out of my head. But now we're talking about Brock Besser on a free agent Friday here, and talking about, so Besser brings good size, decent scoring impact. Robyn has been playing the right side. I'm not too sure if Besser is a player you think you might see going across, but if you go to Utah, and I know everybody, it feels like almost everybody's listed as a center for Utah, right? But a lot of players listed who can play the right side, including Keller and Gunther and Krause. Of course, we had Michelli and Kerfoot this past season as well. Hayton, Stenlund is listed as a true center, or pardon me, I misspoke. Hayton's a left side guy. You have players who could play that right side. Josh Doan can play the right side. Bukestad was playing the right side. So there's a lot of guys who can play that right side. Not everybody plays in their positions, because a lot of guys are listed at centers too. Otherwise, we'd have 8 centers out there. But to have the flexibility to move a guy around the lineup. And here's the other thing, Robyn. We really did harp on the consistency of special teams and really being able to score in the clutch. I think Besser would be an important power play weapon, because he becomes a guy who I think can really make space for your Dylan Gunthers of the world. And maybe present a different look, a different option, maybe a different way to try to get goals when you need them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and anyone who's watched Brock Besser play, that's kind of exactly what he does. I mean, you've seen what he's tried to do in the last couple of seasons with Vancouver, and again last season he didn't play so well with Vancouver. I mean, Vancouver didn't have a great season as a whole.
Vancouver had a rough year.
And this is the point to make. And I feel like this is the reason, one of the biggest reasons why Brock Besser wants out, because he realized that probably maybe this isn't the team for him. He wants to find someone with a team that might be better fit his needs. And I feel like, as I mentioned earlier, there might be an enticing aspect of going to play for a team that's being built by Bill Armstrong, that especially if that is his quote MO. And two, again, you just, like I said, you watch the way Besser plays. he can see that as an opportunity, especially with these younger guys like your Dylan Gunthers and your Logan Coolies.
Also, Minnesota guy, so Team USA. If it comes around to that, I'm sure there's going to be Olympic consideration there as well. Here's something, Robyn, I want to put out there and talk a little bit about the locker room for Vancouver this year. For folks who are like, well, why does Brock Besser want to leave Vancouver? It was a mess internally, and it was a pretty well publicized mess. Elias Patterson, I forget which Patterson. It's number
Elias
40.
Pettersson? I think it's
Elias Patterson, the scoring
Yeah.
forward. Really, there was a personality conflict with him, with Brock Besser, with a couple other guys. It's why Vancouver actually ended up kind of really dismantling themselves, I
Mhm.
think, in trying to purge the locker room to find a way to clear up all the problems. And I think Besser, and I don't know, I wasn't in the room, rightly or wrongly, Besser was the target of a lot of the angst and the reports coming out, well, Besser could be a problem and he's rubbing people the wrong way. Or there are other people saying, no, Besser is just trying to lead this team and trying to get things going the right way and is just sick of the garbage. And which could be the case too. So I think this involves a discussion now, Robyn, that any team who's interested in Brock Besser really has to talk to him. Say, hey, what happened? Give us your take. What are your thoughts? And how does that then apply to the Utah Mammoth locker room? You know, is that
Mhm.
personality, whatever Brock Besser is or isn't, is that
You
what
want to
you
bring
want to
that
bring
in.
Right.
Exactly. And also not only that is like is you it can be within the questioning too of like how like what is like kind of like how do you see your role in the locker room, right? How do you see like are you gonna be a like one of those leaders? Are you gonna act, be out there and be and help everyone grow, but also be vocal, or you just kind of or are you just going to just voice your frustration when you're not playing well? Like exactly what is that? Where is the vocalness coming from?
And look, it doesn't hurt you to add a 50-point guy. But if from the Utah side you believe, or if you're Brock Besser, you believe by looking at the Utah roster, hey, if I played with Clayton Keller, hey, if I played with Dylan Gunther, hey, if I played with, whoever, maybe I could go back to being a 40-goal guy.
Yeah,
That could
and
matter too.
not just a 40-goal guy, but I mean that's over 70-point guy, right?
Right.
I mean that's still a decent amount to have, and against right next to a 90-point guy like like Clayton Keller, like
That's fun to say.
right? I mean, you think of where these kind of players match up and where they go. Like there is just so much to me of like why I try to think in my head and then I'm like, ooh, I would love to see Brock Besser in a Utah Mammoth jersey. I mean, he's like, I will say this, even in his early couple of seasons, right? I've been pretty high on Brock Besser during his, I'd say the majority of his career with Vancouver, even though Vancouver has had some issues. It's like, I was watching him closely. I was like, this is the kind of player I think I would like to have on my team.
Absolutely. And I've always liked Besser's style. I like guys who just like to get in there just a little bit under the skin.
Mm-hmm.
I like the guy who's the extra guy who's like, oh yeah, in there
Mm-hmm.
in the scrum, not afraid to mix it up a little bit. I also think it's fun that Brock Besser wears number 6. It's a random number for a forward to wear. So I
Right.
don't know. I just always feel like that puts a little chip on your shoulder. I love that kind of thing, Robyn, and I don't mind that kind of edge for the Utah Mammoth as well. And the
Mm-hmm.
other thing you talked about, the value proposition.
Exactly. Right. As we talked about it, is like this is not a player who is going to ask for north of $10 million. This is the player who's going to be a lot more economical of a buy, which will be a lot more team friendly. I mean, we talked about the salary cap going up to like 95.5 this next season, and then shooting for 107 million for next season. But even then, like it could end up growing really good in Utah's mind is if they sign Brock Besser to something a little more economical. Like even if he does get a pay bump, right? They're on 6.65 this last round, maybe it goes up to like $7.5 to $8 million or somewhere around there, which is still something that they can easily work with. That's still a few extra $1 million that you would do for another quote superstar that you could put towards getting Logan Cooley your extension, or getting somebody else brought in. That way you can really build this team. So it's, I mean, yeah, you don't want to stack it over too much, but you can really start to build this team to optimize it the best you can, but without sacrificing that value.
Absolutely. All right, leave us your thoughts in the comments. Should the Utah Mammoth go after Brock Besser? Maybe that's your free agent target on this Free Agent Friday. Let us know what your thoughts are, and you can certainly track us down on social media at Locked On Mammoth. Subscribe to the show if you haven't already. Geez, you made it through 2 great segments already. We got another one coming your way. Rick Bowness is coaching in Utah. That is a fact. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Memorial Cup. We're going to talk a little bit about World Championships as well. All that to wrap it up. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot more coming your way. Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño here with you on Locked On Mammoth. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. Whether you're a long timer, an everydayer, or you're new to the podcast, you are absolutely welcome. And we are so thankful to have you be a part of the show. So, Robyn, I do want to start Rick Bowness coaching in Utah. Now, Rick Bowness, for those of you who you're like, boy, that name sounds familiar. It should. Because Rick Bowness is a former NHL coach with a couple of different franchises, the Jets and the Dallas Stars. Bowness, I thought this is actually a pretty cool thing to find out. He is actually going to be doing, Robyn, and this is really interesting to me, a coaching clinic in the Utah area. And I thought that was really neat to have a guy who has coached in the NHL. And unfortunately, and I feel bad, Rick Bowness has run into some health problems lately. And I know that that's one of the issues for him as to why he's not still full-time coaching in the NHL. But I mean, Robyn, number one, it's kind of cool to see him have a tie to this Utah Mammoth team because he is an incredible hockey mind. But number two, I'm pretty jazzed that, look, if I could sign up for this clinic, I would sign up for the clinic. If I had the time to go, I absolutely would, to pick the brain of a coaching genius like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would too, right? I would get my next like my next ticket in or whatever I could to just to hear from him, because he's been around for a long, like he's a huge, just a coaching veteran like him is seeing so much the National Hockey League and professional hockey as a whole.
It's a pretty cool thing to see. And honestly, it's one of those deals where, I mean, anytime I could learn from anyone, I'm doing it. Whether it's broadcasting, podcasting, whatever it is, I want to know. I want to be the person who finds these things out. So I think that that's a pretty cool thing. And the other thing too is, again, I mean, this is a big name to be around. The Utah Mammoth, and I'm not saying that, oh, hey, here's your new head coach. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to stir that kind of pot here. That's not what I'm doing. No. But I do think that it's interesting to have a little bit of that look and feel to it. So that's pretty cool. Also, want to remind everybody, hey, we posted the link a couple of videos ago, but today, well, tomorrow, by the time maybe you're seeing this, but signups are now open for the 3v3 community tournament as well. So that is important to let everybody know. Robyn, want to talk about a couple of Utah Hockey Club alumni because Gabe Smith of the Moncton Wildcats, they've won the Quebec Major Junior League Championship, and Veeti Väisänen of the Medicine Hat Tigers has won the WHL Championship. They now will go on to compete for the Memorial Cup.
Yes, and for anyone knows, the Memorial Cup's huge, right? Like that's like that's some big name opportunities to be able to play against the best in the Canadian Hockey League, right? That's an incredible opportunity.
I think it's not only that, but I mean, this is a tournament that showcases the best of the best in junior hockey. And Robyn, I'd really love to see the Utah Hockey Club prospects do well, but also this is where stars shine. These are your future NHL superstars battling for the Memorial Cup, which is Canada's top junior hockey prize. There's 3 junior leagues in Canada: the Western League, the Ontario Hockey League, and the Quebec Major Junior League. At the end of the year,
technically it's the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League.
Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. Yes, that is true. Forgot about the rename. But and then they have a tournament host, which they rotate among teams every year. So what they do is these 4 teams go to the tournament host location, and they will all end up playing for the top prize among themselves. So you can win your league, but then you can win all of Canadian junior hockey. And it's a little tournament that, I mean, it's not little. It's pretty intense.
It's very not little. Memorial Cup is huge. And you said it, right? Some like some of NHL superstars, future NHL superstars come out of the Memorial Cup. I mean, I was telling Tom, I was looking, I was just joking around because he was mentioning, oh, London's made it so far, and I'm like, yeah, what about the 2015 Erie Otters though? That was a strong team, and I went on ahead and named off a few players like Dylan Strome and Connor McDavid and Alex DeBrincat, and he's just like, oh my god, that was a team.
As you started getting into it, Robyn, and I was listening to you go through those names, I was like, wow, that was some incredible talent to see there. I was like, that to me is just absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, that Erie Otters team actually won the Memorial Cup, which just would be no surprise, right?
Right. It's hindsight's 2020, right? We look back and go, wow, how could they not? They had all these future stars on the team. But nothing's a given. You don't 100% know, but boy, oh boy, I think it's a great tournament to follow if you can follow it. I'm sure if you have NHL Network, they'll probably have some of the games on there as well. I just thought it was very, very cool. So really neat to see what's going on with that. And I just, you wish those guys the best, but it's cool because I think winning a championship in anything builds character. And it's really cool to see a couple of prospects for the Mammoth having success.
It really is. And like it just, and it's an opportunity for the for like the scouts for Utah, because the scouts still do go around and watch current prospects that are maybe not yet signed with the team. He's like, all right, is this player worth signing? Are we gonna give them the opportunity? Where are we? Where are some areas for development that we can have them go? So when they come for a dev camp, or what are we going to discuss with them? It's like, hey, I saw how you did in the Memorial Cup. We're going to work on some things here during this week. That's what a lot goes into, and it's that extra opportunity that really gives those players the extra edge on signing their ELC or getting the next or making it to the next step to the NHL.
Absolutely. It's a hockey education. That's for sure. A big time hockey education. And I know a lot of the, fans out there, you wonder where prospects develop. Well, they can develop anywhere. But this is definitely a big one as to how they can get to the NHL. All right, Robyn, I just want to wrap real quick, bringing people up to speed on what's going on to the World Championships. Team USA has advanced. They beat Finland. And Czechia was knocked out of the tournament by the Swedes. And unfortunately, Veg started that game, only lasted 1 period, gave up 3 goals, and did not get a chance to finish that one. So that's a rough ride there. But Robyn, the surprise of the tournament, Canada gets knocked out in a late rally by Denmark.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Just wow. That's all. That's the only word I can say is wow. Like it's because I mean we've discussed how much of a powerhouse of a team that Canada is, and pretty much talked about really the powerhouses of international hockey in Canada, in the USA, in Sweden, but. For Canada to get knocked out by Denmark, and this is not a knock on Denmark, to be in this level shock. It's more of just a knock on like what happened to Canada.
I mean, hey, 1 game, right? And that's the thing about a knockout stage of a tournament. You have 1 game, where you don't show up. You have one game where you can't put the puck in the net and you're out. So to call that an upset is putting it mildly. That's huge on the international scene. Mind blowing, but very cool. I mean, it's cool to see. It's certainly not cool if you're rooting for Team Canada, I'm sure, but
we're all here cheering for USA anyway. So
yes, that is very true. So, yes, I think that. So now we're on to the semifinals, if you will. It's going to be Sweden and USA, and the Swiss and Denmark, and then the winners of those two meet in the gold medal game.
Sweden USA is going to be such a good game.
Sweden beat Czechia 5-2. USA beat Finland 5-2. Yeah, it's going to be pretty intense. Looking forward to that one. So, and that one, I know, again, Robyn, we're trying to figure out the time change here. That's going to be on Saturday, and that one is at 2:20 local time. So what did we say? We thought it was like 8 hours different.
An 8-hour difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that one's going to be taking place kind of early in the morning, for our fan base, but, that one should also be on NHL Network, or I'm sure there are other places you'll be able to find a broadcast of that one. So, should be a fun weekend. A lot to talk about when we come back around to get into the show on Monday. So, Robyn, anything you want to add before we wrap this one up?
No, just gotta say, excited to be doing more of this off-season coverage for everybody. I know a lot of you guys are wondering about other free agent prospects and a lot of other free agent targets, I should say, and a lot of other things that we're going to get to on this off season for the Utah Mammoth, a really big off season. So just be on the lookout for everything we're going to put out there. So we got daily content running through you guys all the way through about mid-July, and then we'll still put out regular content after that, but 5 days a week all the way until then.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it every day through the draft, through free agency, and then we'll take you through the rest of the summer. And as always, you can always reach out to us on social media. Robyn, where can they find us?
You can find us everywhere on social media at Locked On Mammoth, at Locked On Mammoth. You can find me personally, 99% of the time, spent my time over on Twitter/X at Robyn_Leaño.
And you can find me on Blue Sky at Tom Talks. I'm still on Twitter at Callahan on Air if you want to reach out to me there as well. But we want to say thank you so much to everybody for being a part of the show, and have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you next week on the Locked On Mammoth podcast.